If he tells you not to call your mother and calls it jealousy, hear this: it's not about love. It's about the quiet, careful dismantling of your autonomy. The scariest part isn't even the rule. It's that you're still searching for proof that he cares. You tell yourself, if he's this jealous, it means he values me. But let's strip away the packaging. Control wrapped in a bow of care doesn't protect a relationship. It seals it in a jar. And today, we're not going to talk about how to make yourself more convenient for him. We're going to talk about how to reclaim your right to be yourself, not to destroy your family, but to give it back its humanity. Third canceled visit this month. You're sitting at the kitchen table, staring at cooling coffee, typing a message, "Mom, not today. He's having a rough day. We'll call later." Your finger hovers over send. Inside, a heavy, sticky knot. You swallow it with the cold drink. In the evening, he walks in, wraps his arms around you from behind, rests his chin on your shoulder. "I'm just scared of losing you, sweetheart. You understand, right?" And you do. You nod, say it's fine. But that understanding doesn't make it lighter. It makes it tighter. If you recognize this script, you're already in the zone where jealousy stopped being an emotion and turned into a management system, a system where your own voice starts sounding quieter than his fears.
Let's figure out how this happens, because isolation never starts with loud bands or slammed doors. It starts with soft, almost invisible steps. At first, it sounds like care. Why go to her place on the weekend? Stay with me instead. Rest. Then doubts creep in. She's turning you against me. You notice how she looks at me, right? Later come ultimatums wrapped in hurt. It's either me or her. I'm just tired of sharing your attention. The brain resists. It looks for logic, clings to the familiar, tries to lower the anxiety. And you start making excuses, canceling plans in advance, choosing his mood over your peace. This isn't weakness, it's adaptation. The psyche takes the path of least resistance until resistance becomes impossible. Picture how it looked in the beginning. Remember those first few months? When his attention felt like an ocean. When every glance, every text filled you with certainty. It felt like you'd finally found each other. Now look at that same table, that same kitchen. Only the air has grown heavy. You're walking on eggshells, picking your words, pre-calculating which phrase will trigger suspicion and which will bring calm. You become an expert on his moods, and the better you read him, the less of you is left.
This isn't an accident, it's mechanics. When one person systematically cuts the other off from the outside world, they're not building a fortress, they're building a vacuum. In that vacuum, their voice becomes the only source of reality. Their anxiety dictates your schedule. Their fears decide your weekends. And the most insidious part is that you start believing this is normal, that this is how a strong family should work, that love demands total fusion. But fusion isn't about closeness, it's about dissolving. When two banks merge into a swamp, the water stops flowing, it starts to stagnate, and you feel it in your skin. You feel how that inner compass, the one that used to point clearly to your yes and your hard no, is slowly dimming inside you. Listen, I know exactly how that inner dialogue sounds. If I go, he'll get hurt, there'll be a fight, I'll end up guilty again. Better to stay, wait it out. This cycle drains a massive amount of energy. You're spending your strength not on living, but on servicing his anxiety. And gradually, you get used to this mode. You get used to putting your needs on hold. You get used to visits with your mother turning into a battlefield instead of a refuge. But habit isn't a reason to surrender. It's a signal that the system is running on autopilot and you stepped out of the cockpit a long time ago. And here's what's happening at the neurochemical level. When you cancel your plans to keep him calm, you get a quick dopamine hit. Phew, avoided a conflict. He's affectionate again. The brain wires this link: self-erasure equals safety. That's how the dependency forms. Not on the person, on the survival mode. You stop distinguishing where his discomfort ends and your reality begins. It's right at this point that jealousy stops being a flash and becomes architecture. An architecture where every door leads to one room, the room where only he sits. and you stay in the hallway, waiting for permission to enter.
The root of the problem isn't your wrongness, and it's not his bad character. It lies in how we fundamentally misunderstand attachment. And right now, we're going to get to the core, to the mechanism that makes a grown adult try to control someone else just to feel safe. You'll soon see that his rules aren't about you. They're about his inability to breathe without constant reassurance. And the moment you grasp that, the fog of guilt will start to lift. But let's take it step by step. Jealousy on this scale isn't a measure of deep feeling. It's a marker of internal instability. When a person lacks their own inner anchors, they try to bolt them on to something external, onto you. He's not necessarily doing this out of malice. Often, it's an automatic nervous system response that learned somewhere back in childhood. Love is unreliable. You have to hold on to it. You have to test it. You have to isolate it from anything that might take it away. But explaining the mechanism doesn't excuse it. Understanding where the fear comes from is necessary. Tearing down your own walls to accommodate it is destructive. You are not required to be a buffer that absorbs his anxiety at the cost of your own isolation. Healthy relationships don't ask you to sever your social ties. They demand dialogue. They require that anxiety be processed within the partnership, through words, through therapy, through shared work, not by restricting the other person's freedom. When your partner says, "I'm afraid she'll take you away," what he's really saying is, "I don't know how to trust." And that's his territory to work on. Your territory is to maintain the bond with the people who gave you life, with those who remember you before this relationship, before these fears, before these rules.
The ban on your mother cuts the deepest, because a maternal figure isn't just a relative. She's a symbol of unconditional acceptance, a place where you don't have to earn your worth. When a partner pushes that connection out, he's not just taking away your weekend visits. He's cutting off your access to your own history, to the time when you were simply a child, not a wife, not convenient, not careful. He turns you into a psychological orphan in your own life, and you start searching for his approval the same way you once searched for your mother's gaze. That's where the real trap lies. You're trying to fill an adult void with a childhood strategy, and it never works. Reconnecting with your mother isn't an act of rebellion. It's a process of restoring a healthy psychological hierarchy. Your family shouldn't replace your entire world. Outside connections aren't a threat, they're ventilation. Without them, the air goes stale. Without them, you start suffocating inside the very four walls you built to keep the peace. Setting a boundary doesn't require aggressive confrontation. It requires quiet, unshakable certainty. This isn't about yelling. It's about a calm, "I understand you're anxious, but it's important to me to stay in touch with my mom. I'll see her once a week, and I won't justify that visit." Brace yourself. The first stretch won't be easy. Systems always resist change. He might ramp up the pressure, might play the victim, might say you've grown cold, might try to reinstate the old rules through guilt. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means the old pattern has stopped working. Use the broken record technique. Don't argue when things peak. Hold your words. Sit with the silence. And remember, his reaction to your boundaries is the primary diagnostic marker. If calm statements of need are met with threats, tearful manipulation, or aggression, that's a signal of unsafety, not of deep passion, of unsafety.
Stepping out of isolation starts small, with allowing yourself to feel discomfort without immediately squashing it, with writing facts in a journal to counter the moments when reality gets twisted, with one short call you make without asking for permission, with finding outside support in a therapist or a trusted friend who won't give advice, but will simply say, "I see this is heavy for you, and you have every right to feel it." The choice between save the family and save yourself is a false dichotomy. It's only held together by fear. A truly resilient family is built on two whole autonomous people, on two trees growing side by side, their branches intertwining but their roots never fusing into one. One tree shouldn't have to consume the other's roots to survive.
Love that demands you erase yourself isn't love. It's a survival contract. A contract where one person slowly dissolves for the other's peace. But you don't have to dissolve. You have the right to take up space, the right to outside connections, the right to your mother, to friends, to your weekends, to your own breath. And here's what you need to grasp right now. A boundary isn't a wall, it's a door with a lock. You decide who comes in. You decide when to close it. When a partner tries to kick it down with yelling or manipulation, that doesn't mean the lock is broken. It means they just haven't learned to knock yet. Your job isn't to change the lock, it's to teach them to knock, or to stop opening the door for those who barge in uninvited. That's not cruelty, it's mental hygiene. Without it, relationships rot from the inside out.
Yes, it will be hard. Yes, he might not understand right away. Yes, you'll feel like a traitor when you set these boundaries, but that's temporary. What you lose by abandoning yourself is gone forever. Returning to your mother, to your friends, to your own life isn't a betrayal of your partner. It's a return to yourself, to the woman who knows how to feel, to choose, to breathe deeply. A family shouldn't be a cage. It should be a home you want to come back to, not a place you're afraid to leave. If you recognized your situation in this video, write in the comments one small action you're willing to take this week to reclaim your boundary. It could be a call to your mom, booking a therapy session, or simply giving yourself internal permission to stop feeling guilty for having needs. I read the comments and answer the hardest questions in future breakdowns. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. Because healthy relationships don't start with fixing the other person, they start with coming back to yourself. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.